Hi, I'm Kathy Gunst from Here and Now. It is summer, in my favorite time of year, and I have a big garden going out there. And here are some of my peas. And other than snacking on these pretty much all day, throwing them raw into salads, I love to make a summer soup, which can be either hot or cold. And I call this summer pea and lettuce soup. So the peas are the basis of the soup, obviously. They are the inspiration. I also have this gorgeous head of butter lettuce. We're going to add some onions to the soup and also to the stock. And then I have these gorgeous scallions. This is the beginning of my onion plants from the garden. And then these are really unique. You don't need to have these, so don't think, oh, I don't have them. But these are garlic scapes. And this is what grows at the top of the garlic plant. But the truth is you absolutely don't need this. You could just add a clove of garlic or just stay with the pea pods. Shelling peas, which is the first step, is really a meditative experience. And I suggest you do it outside, preferably in a rocking chair or on a porch. Or in your kitchen on a sunny day. And these are English peas. They're also called shelling peas. And all I'm doing is pulling the string, as it's called, opening the pea pod right on the seam. These things are just perfectly designed. Thank you. Taking the peas out, but you might notice I'm keeping the shells. This is really important. This is the only trick of the soup. The shells, we're going to make a stock. It's going to be a pure vegetarian dish, no chicken broth, no vegetable broth. We're going to make our own pea broth, which might sound complicated, but it's not, as you're going to see. All I'm going to do is throw all these shells into a pot with a few onions and salt and pepper, and an hour later you have this incredibly sweet, fresh pea stock, and that's the basis of the soup. So I've got a good amount of peas here, and I will start my pea stock as the next step. So I have my shells in there, my scallions, my chives, and my garlic scape. I'm going to season it with a little bit of good sea salt and peppercorn, whole peppercorn to season it, just like you would making any kind of a stock. And I've got 6 cups of water in there. Bring it to a boil, and then let it simmer on low for about an hour. And you will know that this broth is done when it turns a green color, and if you taste it with a kitchen spoon, it will be unbelievably sweet. These pea shells have so much flavor in them still that it makes it really sweet. And to think we throw these things away, this is the greatest recycling soup. So that's going to just sit and simmer on low for about 45 minutes, and we'll get our soup started. These are called onion goggles. Yes, I said onion goggles. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to put on my onion goggles, and they're really going to keep me from crying. I'm just going to peel my onion. And again, nothing gets thrown out. I'm going to throw the onion skin and the outer layer into my soup pot just to help flavor that stock. Everything gets used. It's the greatest thing about making stock is you don't have to throw anything out. And you don't have to worry about chopping it perfectly because everything's going to get pureed. So just a really coarse chop. I'm going to add about a tablespoon or 2 of the olive oil just to flavor and soften up that onion. See, I can pick them up without crying. We're going to let those cook long and slow just till they're a little bit caramelized, and then we'll throw our peas in. And here we have our peas. These are from about 2 pounds of shelling peas. Look how gorgeous they are. We're not going to let these cook a long time. We're just going to coat them in the oil and the salt and pepper and onions because we don't want them to toughen. We just want them to get flavored. Stir our peas in. Look how beautiful that is already. It's just going to be this very green, fresh tasting soup. Next, we're going to add our chives. They're just roughly cut. You could add scallions, but I love the flavor of chives because they're so much more subtle. Stir that in. And as you can see, this is a very low heat, so the peas are just being coated. They're not really being cooked. Then comes the fun part. We're going to take our pea broth, which is this beautiful sweet green now, and pour it right into the colander on top of those peas and onions. Just let it all come through because we want every last drop of it. And then whenever you're making things, I just always push down on the discarded vegetables to make sure, see all that stock that's still in there? Just pushing down so that we don't waste any of this delicious stock. We're going to raise the heat to high, bring it to a boil, and then we'll reduce it and let it cook for about 10-15 minutes. What we're doing is just infusing the onions and the fresh peas into the broth. We're going to take our fresh butter lettuce, which has been washed and dried thoroughly, and I'm just going to break it up into small pieces and throw it right into the soup. Just stir that lettuce in. More gorgeous green color, and it's just going to wilt, and that's exactly what we want it to do. So the soup's been simmering for 15 minutes. The peas are tender, the broth is sweet and flavorful, and we're just going to puree it. You can take this into a food processor or a blender, but I have this totally cool little tool. It's called an immersion blender, and it goes right in the pot. And what I love about it is that you don't dirty 2 or 3 or 4 things, so you have one pot for the whole soup. So I'll plug this in, and it's going to be noisy. So bye for a little bit. Just puree it. Blender, food processor, or this. Okay. So the soup is just fabulous. It's just perfect. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of heavy cream swirled into it or swirled on the top. A dollop of sour cream or creme fraiche or even yogurt would be delicious, but it doesn't need anything. It's so pure a taste that I love it just plain with a little sprinkling of chives. So enjoy this beautiful early summer pea and lettuce soup.